Hey, Search from All Stuff Web here again. In this video, I'll explain how I turn my hand-drawn doodles into images that I'm not ashamed to use for my articles. Once I've finished doodling, I usually scan the entire page into the computer and open it up in Photoshop. Once I've opened it in Photoshop, I select the portion that I want to focus on and create a new file for it just to keep it separate from the rest of the doodles. In this example, you can see I've already created a file called storedraft.png. Now, obviously this isn't the finished product that I want for the article, hence the draft in the name. So I'll make a few corrections and apply some touch-ups to make the drawing look a little bit better. And then I'll finish it off by applying an effect to hide the faded permanent marker lines and make the drawing a little bit easier on the eyes by giving it a little bit of a sharper look. Basically, when I drew this face right here, I wasn't thinking to put like a nameplate here for the store name or whatnot. So we're gonna go ahead and delete that. And I say really quickly a lot in my videos, I've noticed, so don't mind me if I say it. So we're going to delete that background color, and actually I'm going to do this. I'm going to duplicate this layer and divide it by another layer just so I have the background not touched. And I want the background layer to be white, so that's layer 1 is going to be white, and then the background copies this, what you see in front of you. Another thing that I noticed is that this is way uneven and it bugs me, but seeing as I drew it with a permanent marker on a piece of paper, I couldn't really just rearrange the lining, so I'm going to do this. So I want to copy, paste, and now you've got yourself another layer right there. And then in Photoshop you can either do image or edit, free transform. I just use Control T. And it gives you the free transform option, so you can kind of angle it and stuff as you need to. So I'm going to do this right here to stretch it out to that corner. That way it kind of follows the same line. Now if you notice, it's got the old white right here. So we're going to select the old white and delete it. Now we can go onto the background copy and delete this portion, which we no longer need. Oops. So we're going to delete that. And we want to touch up this little portion right here. So we're going to select the color. And I want to make sure that it's just black, because we're going to make everything look black later. And you want to try to get the same width. To zoom like this, I'm holding down Alt and scrolling my mouse wheel. So we were going to get a black color, and then for this you can actually click on this where it says 4 pixels, and you hold your mouse over the line and you just press up so that you can see exactly how wide it is. I'm going to go with 9 pixels. Actually, let's do 8 pixels. It's better to have too little than too much, because you can always add another line. And so now we've got it there, and we also want to fix this portion right here to make sure that the corner is all good. And it's actually better if we edit on the line that we just drew, because you have this white right here. See? Okay, so now that's gone. Let's say I want to fix this window right here just to get rid of everything that's in it. And I drew this stuff in just to kind of have it in there. As you can see with the original in a second, it's got a lot of extra stuff in the picture that I ended up not using, but I figured it was better to put it in there since I was going to scan it in anyways. So let's just delete this from the background copy layer, and now we've got a clean window, more or less. If we wanted to touch it up a little bit, you can go in with an eraser. There you go. And then we obviously want to touch this up as well. So what I'm going to do for this actually is, I don't like these lines, so I'm going to copy a line that's a little bit more straight. Let's do something like this line. So I'm just gonna Excuse me. I'm just gonna do this and copy, paste this line over here, and I want to Control T again and drag it all the way down so that it connects with this cross line for the bottom. And now that we have this, we can delete, and we've got ourselves a pretty little line right here. We go back to the background layer, and we can pretty much delete this. I want to make sure I don't hit any of the windows. And then since we're over here, I'm going to delete this other one as well, because we're going to change it. Now I kind of try to round off by the door handle and delete. Now what we can do is you want to make sure that you deselect this, and I believe that layer 2 was the door. No, layer 2. Since we're done with layer 2, this portion right here, we can just right click on this and merge down, so that'll add it to the entire store layer. Okay, so this is the door layer that we want to duplicate and move over to here. Now as you can tell, it's a little bit bigger. Angle's not entirely correct. That's okay. It's drawing, so I don't expect it to be perfect. I am by no means a professional artist or, you know, sketch artist or anything. I'm just doing this because I don't feel like paying for stock images, and this will actually help keep one kind of uniform look to the entire site. So now that we've got that, we want to delete this portion just so that we have nothing else sticking out. And then let's do this. We're going to merge down and merge down again if we're happy with our door placement, which I suppose I am. So we're going to merge down, and then I want to get rid of these white lines right here. And it doesn't matter that they look a little funny right now, because I will fix that in just a second. Excuse me. I've been up all night, so my voice is a little bit raspy. Not that I've been doing anything crazy all night, I just work. I'm a workaholic. And delete it like that. Here we go. And actually, let's delete this little portion as well. I could use an eraser, but I prefer this just because it's a little bit better, in my opinion. Okay, so we've got this done now. If we wanted to, oh, this is gonna bug me if I leave this open. So, let's do this. Copy, paste, like that. Delete the background layer again. Make sure you're on the background layer, because if you're on layer 2, when you delete, it'll delete that. Control Z to undo. So back to the background layer, that's deleted. We want to merge down, and then I want to make sure that there's no hint of white in here, and I'll show you the reason for that in just a second. Let's get the eraser out. Oops. Get the eraser out and erase a little bit of this, a little bit of this, and some of this right here. That way we've got ourselves a pretty little store. Now in the original that I had showed off online, I added a ton of stuff. You can add this stuff if you want to your pictures. So when I draw them on paper, I go all out and I draw a bunch of extra stuff just in case I do want to add anything. So like, let's say I want to add this. I will select it, copy, Control C to copy. Or you can do the old school thing and go File, Copy. And then when we're on the store draft page, I just paste it in here, select our handy dandy magic wand, delete the outside, and I can move it, let's say, Control T to make it smaller, and I can move it on one of the windows, one of the doors. Now if you notice, the angle for it isn't quite right. That's okay. Control T again to free transform, and you've got this little tool right here. Not entirely sure what it's called. It's warp mode, looks like. So you can click on the warp mode, and you can actually warp out your drawing a little bit to make it look like it's on the actual window. So you want to warp it out evenly if you're going to be warping it for something like this window. But about there, that looks better than the original. So the original looked like this. That one looks like it's actually warped on there. See? And then let's say you want to add some text. You can do the same warp effect with the text as well. So let's do a black, and I use Hand of Sean because it's the closest to my handwriting. So let's do Storm Mart. Let's say I want this to be the name. So I want it to be a little bit bigger. That might be a little bit too big, but it's okay. What we're gonna do now is we're gonna free transform it by Control T, and I want to rotate it a little bit so that it's kind of facing in the correct direction. I'm basically just focusing on the first letter to make sure that it's kind of parallel with the bottom layer. Once that's done, I hit the warp mode, and nothing happens. Great. That's not supposed to happen. So I want to do this to get it kind of on the same parallel with the bottom of the container. And then we can, I think that you have to hit enter after you're done with the free transform, and then you hit warp. Nope, that doesn't work. All right, so what we can do, we're gonna hit free transform once more, make it a little bit smaller, and then you want to right click on your text layer and rasterize layer, or rasterize type. So once it's rasterized, then you can do the free transform with the warp to it. So what you'll want to do is, let's go back and spin it a little bit more so that it's kind of like this, and then we will hit the warp, and we kind of want to just fit it into here. And you kind of want to make it however you think is right, obviously, but you can do something like this. And I'm just trying to make this into a quick little video to show you exactly how to do it, but you can actually customize it later on your own time. And then, like I said, if you're going to be drawing this on a piece of paper, just draw in a bunch of extra shapes. You never know when they'll come in useful. I ended up actually using quite a few of these on the original, which is preview right here. So on the original, I ended up using, let's see, I ended up using the little, this thing right here. I used one of the boxes that I drew. I believe it was this one right here, and then I ended up adding this section to it using a line, and then these arrows I actually drew in on another. Let me see if I can find it real quick in my other window. Here we go. Now this one's really messy, but basically I drew in all these arrows. I was kind of brainstorming a little bit, and I figured I'd make use of the paper since I had already drawn on it. And so, yeah, I used some of the arrows and stuff like that. The text is all Hand of Sean. So let's say Storm Art. Now, if you notice, the Storm Art is darker than the actual writing. The way that I remedied this is that okay, so let's do this real quick. The background copy. So in order to make your outline darker, here's an easier way you could do that. You create a new layer, layer 3. Call it dark, and do this. Now that looks like I didn't mean to do that, but I did mean to do that. So what you want to do next is you click on this little thing right here. I'm not sure what they're called. And then you'll want to do something along the lines of like a color burn. Color burn's a little too harsh around the edges, as you can see. But if you go down to overlay, overlay is actually a lot softer. And so what it does to the lines that I have is it just makes them darker, because it overlays the black over anything that's dark in color. So as you can see, here's without the dark, and here it is with the dark layer in overlay mode. So it comes out, the lines come out a lot darker, a lot cleaner looking, versus this kind of semi-faded, you know, where you can see the actual overlaps in the permanent marker. With the dark layer, it's all uniform, it's all one thing. So yeah, I mean, that's just a way that you can make your drawings look a little bit better, and hopefully you can use them in your posts and whatnot. With my drawings, I'll eventually put them up on the website for everybody to be able to use, just because like if I've used them once, I probably won't use them again, but hopefully somebody else can find a use for them. Okay, have fun.